Hello and welcome to another podcast episode. I'm very happy to have you here and look forward to getting stuck into this conversation today, which is around our first two stages of awakening. So if you didn't listen to last week's episode, I just talked about the sort of what awakening and ascension is to me and what I believe that to be, and just talked about my experience in looking back and the 5 stages of awakening that I went through. So today we're just going to dive into the first couple and talk about the things that you can actually do to help you, the things that you can do to start sort of kicking off another level of activation, ways that you can tune into yourself, but also just really help you get through it, okay? Especially with the dark night of the soul, which is the first thing we're going to be talking about. Before we dive into that, I just actually really want to just touch on one thing that we all really need to start doing right from the beginning, and the one thing that is really, really going to help you move through your awakening with a lot more ease, a lot more flow, and that's learning. Well, there's 2 things really. The first one is really learning to hold space for yourself, learning to hold space for your emotions and your healing, which basically comes down to the second thing, which is learning to be an observer and really learning to get into a space of non-attachment. Because what happens is stuff starts coming up, and because we are not used to feeling feelings that intensely, we're so used to being told to either squish it down or to make a big deal of it, whichever way it is, that we attach to it too much, and it just makes it snowball. And the more that we can feel that feeling, feel that shift that's happening, and become the observer, step back from it, and sort of what I like to do is that when I've got emotions coming up is I sort of feel it, which usually comes up into my chest, sort of that higher heart area, and I actually feel myself move back from it and just sort of push it forward in my field. So it's almost like a ball that's sitting outside of self. And I take some deep breaths and I just feel into what that is. So rather than it letting consume my entire energy body and my entire aura, my entire frequency, I pull it out in front of me. So I'm still feeling into it, but it gives me that separation. And that allows me to hold space. It allows me to feel it. And the more easily that you can do that, the quicker you can feel into it, the quicker it moves on. And like I said, with that non-attachment, we don't kind of let it consume us, and we don't start that spiral. Oh my gosh, what am I feeling? Oh, what is this feeling? Oh, it's because of this and it's because of that, and la 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 la. That's going to make it worse. It's going to make it bigger than Ben-Hur, or making, So yeah, just really learning to hold space for those emotions, for what's coming up, for the energy shift, whatever it is that you're feeling into the situation, and using that art of non-attachment. And that's with anything, even if you've got a situation coming up with somebody, there's something that's happened. We get the tendency, let's say if you've had I suppose like a fight or interaction with somebody, especially if you're like me and you don't like, what's the word? I've forgotten the word, you know what I mean? Don't like confrontation. Yeah, so you can keep replaying, oh, I should have said this, or this happened, or what is this, what is that in your mind. But if you can just sit in stillness for a minute and take a couple of deep breaths and do the same thing, bring all of those emotions and all of that energy to the front of you and still feel into it, but look at it from the observer and take some deep breaths, send it some love, ask the questions around what can I do to move forward, what can I do to help let it go. The more we're going to move through those things. Because again, if a situation like that is happening, maybe you have had something go on with somebody, the more that you're replaying it and rehashing it, and you get, like I said, it becomes all consuming throughout your entire energy. And it is a practice, and it does take time to learn how to do it. But the more you go, oh, hang on, is there a way that I can step back and observe this rather than letting it take over my entire energy field? So asking those questions is really great. So that's something that I would really suggest that we all start doing right from right now, is learning to really hold space for yourself, for your emotions, for what you're going through. Give that love to yourself. We don't always have to fix everything too. That's the other thing. I think we've learned that if we see somebody who is upset, that we feel like we have to do something and fix it and say something and give opinions. But really, sometimes all people need is for you to listen. So it's the same with yourself. So just listen to your emotions, hear them, feel them. You don't have to, make it better right now. The same that you don't need to do that when you're holding space for a friend and your friend just needs to, get everything off her chest or his chest and get everything out in the open. You don't have to fix it. You don't have to give opinion. You just have to sit and listen. And we need to learn to do that with ourselves and our own emotions and our own healing that's coming up through, whatever stage of awakening you're in. So anyway, let's get stuck in. Today we're just going to cover the first couple. So let's go into the dark night of the soul. And this is like the trickiest spot, you guys. Like when your awakening kicks off, and especially if it's around something traumatic that's happened within your life, whether it's the death of a loved one or a divorce or, something like that, there's a lot going on, not just within your beliefs and the way that your life's sort of crumbling down around you, but your energy and your emotions, and like there's a lot of chaos going on. So we really need to be kind to ourselves, and remember that it's okay to not be okay. But going into that dark night of the soul, you're getting that real collapse of beliefs. It's like the bottom drops out and everything just falls out from under you, and everything that the things that you'd sort of built your life upon and built your beliefs on, where you were going, where you were headed, it starts breaking down what you thought success looked like, what love looked like, what relationships are supposed to look like. All of this stuff starts coming down, and it's a lot of energy, it's a lot of emotion, it's very all-consuming. And this is why it's important to just breathe in this stage as we go into sort of that fight, flight, and freeze response. So with everything that's happening within your energy, your nervous system goes into absolute breakdown. And no matter when, we can have ego death, dark night of the soul, what do they call it? A shamanic death. Oh my God, I was just going to say it and then I forgot what it was called. But anywho, we go through these within all stages of awakening. I've had a couple of big ego deaths this year, but I, went through my initial dark night of the soul about 4 years. Oh no, when was Schmovid? Like 4 years ago, 5 years ago. It's a long time ago now. But I've still had ego deaths that have really shaken the foundation of, whatever that belief was. So, and my nervous system just went into like complete and utter meltdown. So yeah, once we go into that fight, flight, or freeze, our body and our nervous system starts to break down too, and nothing makes sense. Everything's all over the place because you're so, like I was talking about before, being so consumed with everything that's going on and the emotions and the chaos, that it's really, really hard to find your way out or know what to do or know where to move. And a lot of people in the dark night of the soul, once they have beliefs and stuff start breaking down, it really comes not in between, but it really starts shaping the relationships differently between family and friends. And this is one of the things that most people find the hardest to deal with when they're going through their initial dark night of the soul and they're starting to open up to new possibilities and different ways of being. And, when they're realizing that things aren't the way that they thought they were. That family and friends dynamic is something that really hits people hard. And I want you to know that just because, it depends on, your soul's plan and that family, what your family contracts are, but it's like it does happen that you come apart for a little bit, but it can get better and come back together. And as you begin to heal and you begin to move through your stuff and work through your stuff and change your energy, and because part of what you're doing is clearing family trauma and clearing ancestral healing and motherline wounding. So as that, it's not just happening within you. As you do that, you're passing that energetically to your mum, to your nan, to your dad, to, whoever they are and wherever they are. And so that starts to sort of clear up their field a little bit too. And so what can happen is, yes, at the beginning, you feel like you're like coming apart from them. And I think the thing is too, because a lot of our beliefs are what they told us, we kind of get a little bit resentful and a little bit like, this isn't the way life's supposed to be. And obviously you're breaking away from their beliefs and what they taught you to be true and all the things that they thought they were doing right by you in teaching you and showing you and mentoring to you. But so we can tend to come apart. But once all that healing starts happening, the energy starts changing, we can actually come back together with them, and it actually can be more tolerable and, a lot nicer and actually a better relationship. But for some people, it is going to be the end, I'm afraid. Depending on that family contract, it may be that you are here to really sever a pattern or a belief and really take your family line in a different direction, so that your kids and your grandkids are like never like that. And if that means for this lifetime that you need to break away from your family, whether it be parents, siblings, then that might actually be something that has to happen. And that's okay. That's boundaries. That's looking after yourself. We're here to ascend. We're here to make things better. This isn't just about this lifetime right now. This is about like a really bigger, huge picture. But that's hard to deal with in the beginning, because we are so close to each other. We are so emotionally involved and energetically tied that, yeah, it does make it really tricky for that family and friends dynamic. So if you ever have any questions, feel free to email me, do your comments below, let me know. I mean, I know it's hard to talk about personal stuff like on a public forum, but if you do have any insight, you don't have to name names or, but feel free to comment. We can open a conversation on this. And it's also nice too, because it's really hard to understand that other people go through this stuff too. You feel like not magical, but you feel like a special unicorn when you're going through stuff like this, and you don't realize how many other hundreds of thousands of people have gone through this. So yeah, sometimes it's nice just to have people to go, yep, I hear you, I'm holding you, and I see you, and I feel you. So yeah. So what to do for yourself in the dark night of the soul? And like I said, it's really, really hard, because it's like when your body goes into that breakdown, when your nervous system and you get in that, the fight, flight, freeze mode, it's very, very hard to wrap your head around anything, and you just kind of almost feel paralyzed. So self-care is really important, and I know that's hard, and I'm not saying that it's easy to, when you're going through something traumatic, and when you're going through this dark night of the soul stage, I know it's not easy, but even if it's just something like taking a breath and having a nice cup of tea, making sure you've had a nice long shower, just that real self-care, going for a walk in the forest, that breathe, like anything that's bringing you back into your body. So a lot of breathing techniques, or just a breathing meditation, or even just putting on binaural beats in your ears, lying on your bed and just connecting into your breath, and just allowing the music and the frequency of the music to just move through your energy while you're just breathing and taking it easy and trying to allow your system some space to breathe. And like I said, walking in the forest, like a lot of grounding stuff, connecting into Mother Earth, like sort of root chakra things and root chakra meditations and techniques if you're into that kind of thing. And just always remembering that it's okay, like be okay with not being okay, that you're going through something huge and something massive, and it's not, just for you, it's for, the sake of your family, the sake of whatever, ancestral patterning. Like I said, it's, about the ascension of the planet. It's, so it's a big deal, the dark night of the soul. It's a big deal moving into awakening. So just be okay with that. And like I was saying before, learn to allow your emotions to hold space for yourself, and to learn to be the observer in that. But yeah, dark night of the soul, you want to be a lot of self-care, getting into meditation. And I know meditation isn't everyone's cup of tea and it can be hard, but don't think of it as meditation. Think of it as just stillness, and just giving yourself even just 5 minutes to just lie down and breathe. That's all it has to be. Meditation is not about clearing your thoughts and clearing your mind. Journaling, so good for this stage as well, just writing everything out. Sorry, you might be able to hear my bracelets jangling. But yeah, writing stuff out, writing a letter to, whoever it is, let's say it is something like a divorce that's brought on this dark night of the soul, just writing, an angry letter, and just keep writing out your anger until it's all gone, until the letter start. You might have to write a letter 5 times, just anger, or sadness, and then eventually you start writing forgive. Like it's quite like an unbelievable process of what starts happening is that each letter gets less and less in anger and sadness and fear and more into love and forgiveness. So just, using tools like that to just get everything out, hold space for yourself, and lots of breathing, lots of grounding, and just support, groups that are going through the same thing as you, listening to podcasts like this where they're like, okay, yep, she gets it, right? She's been there, she's done it, she's out the other side, I'm going to be okay. And you will be okay. But it is a tricky stage. So let's move on to the second stage, which is what, if you're in the Dark Night of the Soul, you've got this to look forward to. It is the stage of exploration. It's the stage where you really start expanding your view on the world. When I hit my awakening and went into that Dark Night of the Soul, I was already in metaphysics. I was a meditation teacher. I'd done holistic counseling. I was a Reiki practitioner. So I was all over my woo-woo. But then when I stepped into the exploration stage, it just, a lot of my actual beliefs around a lot of mainstream metaphysical spirituality actually broke down and crumbled, which was really hard to take. That was a big, it sort of took me into another, lesser yet still dark night of the souling in that as I went into my exploration. And that's the thing with these stages, they can kind of cross over with each other. But the exploration stage, it's really about expanding your view on all of that. So if you weren't 100% into spirituality, you're probably starting to learn more about guides and angels, and you're wondering about who you are and why you're here, and about other realms and different alternative therapies, like I said, like Reiki, and different ways of healing, because you do get called to start healing in the Dark Night of the Soul. Once you move into your awakening, that's what it's all about. The reason it's been kicked off and activated is so that you can heal all of that stuff that's not allowing you to stand in your power and be who you came here to be. And that's the way that we're going to get to that ascension, by clearing out that frequency, that bridge between the 3 and 5D. That 4D frequency needs to all be cleared out. So we do go into learning a little bit more about how we can heal, and that can look differently for everyone. Some people love NLP and tapping and more of that neuro-linguistic subconscious stuff. Other people really go into the deep energetics and, karmic loop clearing and motherline wounding and all of that kind of thing that I was talking about. So it's a really great space of exploring and opening up to guides and angels and healing and all of those things. So it's quite a fun time, that is. So what to do when we get into this stage of exploration? So I think the one thing that we need to really making sure we're doing is cementing in a routine of connection. And so really cementing in a routine of every day connecting into your body, connecting into your emotions, connecting into what healing's coming up and what you can do today to help keep moving with ease. Because even though we're in a stage of exploration, like I said, I went into a stage of exploration and learned so much more about what's going on the planet that my spiritual beliefs broke down. What I'd learned and set my spiritual foundation on crumbled. So there's still going to be stuff that happens. So we still want to make sure that we're able to check in and go, okay, what's coming up for me? And like I said, keep practicing holding space and allowing yourself to be the observer. And really making a habit of clearing out your energy, just really learning about what your energy field is and how it works and how you can clear it out, because we get so much in and out of our frequency all day long from other people, from other things that are going on around us, that half of the time we're trying to heal stuff that doesn't even belong to us, or we're feeling emotions that aren't even ours. So making a routine of every morning, just pulling anything out of your field that doesn't belong to you, making sure later on in the day that you're, pulling out anything that doesn't belong to you, whether that be emotions or mainly emotions, but any energetics, something that's in your field that isn't yours, to make sure you're getting rid of that every day and just really releasing all those things that you don't need. And then every morning, if you do that, you're starting off with a nice, beautiful, clean canvas for the day. So really getting to know your energy, know your own energy. And like I said, tapping into your body, asking your body, okay, body, what do you need today in order to thrive? And, be well and be healthy and to get through this day. So also just really learning what your intuition feels like. So what does it feel like when something that you're doing is expansive and joyful and leading you forward on your journey? And what does it feel like when you're making a decision that isn't? So the reason we've kicked off our awakening and we've activated this path for ourselves is to heal all this stuff so we can get onto our highest timeline, so that we can be doing what we actually came here to do. And the biggest indicator of that is your intuition. When you're on the right path, your intuition says, yes, do it, go. When it's not, your intuition goes, bleh, right? So it either makes your body and your energy feel expansive or contractive. Is contractive a word? Don't know. It is now. So really learning to understand what your intuition feels like, and then really starting to open up the communication between you and your higher self, and that your aspects of self. I believe that most of the initial guides that we start talking to are actually not outside guides. They're actually aspects of us, in different places, in different frequencies. That's why it's so much easier for us to hear them. So if you can start kind of think about, connecting into aspects of self and what they feel like and what it feels like to have them close to you and what they look like, and even outside guides and angels that are separate from self, start connecting to them and allowing them into your field and going, okay, this is what it feels like. But we just really need to make sure that we're aware of our own energy first, because there are a lot of energies out there that present and pretend to be guides when they're not. And so if you're not really good, if you're not really not good at, but if you're not really in tune with your own intuition and your own energy and what it feels like, your discernment's going to be a little bit off. So that is what I would suggest during that exploration phase. So that's our first 2 stages of awakening. I'm going to do go into the other few next week. Thank you so much for being here. If you have any questions, you can email me. You can do it through I'll put the contact below actually, in the notes. And if you haven't taken the Stages of Awakening quiz, I'll pop that down in there too, and just pop some details on there just so you can check out some stuff of mine if you would like. So have an amazing week, and I look forward to being here with you again. Bye.